Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go racing here for the first race of the round of 8 at Kansas Speedway for the Hollywood Casino 400, as well as we have the Xfinity Series coming at you guys today for some playoff racing as well. And of course we start things off with the Xfinity Race here at Kansas Speedway with Paul Menard behind the wheel as usual now for us, as this will be the first race of the round of 8 for the Xfinity Series as well. We usually have had a decent track record at Kansas Speedway in the Xfinity Series, so we had some high hopes coming into this one. It wasn't the greatest qualifying effort on the planet, to say the least, from Paul. He was just barely outside of the top 10, so he was still up in the mix as we got underway, right behind that 0-8 of Joe Graff Jr. as we go down towards turns 1. But obviously, when it comes to Kansas Speedway in NASCAR Heat 5, you want to be up on the top if you want to be going fast. So we were looking to get Paul up towards the top as quick as we could. As you see, Timmy Hill up here in the mix, Justin Allgaier, the 20 of Christian Eckes. Oh, some playoff contenders in the mix as Kevin Magnussen started up front, leading the way currently as we came through turns 3 and out of turns 4 on this opening lap in the Kansas Lottery 300 here for the Xfinity Series playoffs. Now is down the front straightaway though. Paul finally moving up to the outside here as he saw a hole. He took it there and jumped up to the top and was not wasting any time. He makes it 4 wide on the exit of turn, so he had already moved up into P3 within the first couple laps of this race, and then ran down Kevin Magnussen as well as Ty Gibbs there in P1 as we went down into turns 1. Paul does a bit of a slide job on Kevin Magnussen, made it work, and then actually got to the outside of the 19 of Ty Gibbs through turns 1 and 2 a little bit later on, and he would now make the pass for the lead here in Kansas out of turns 2 down the back straightaway, and he would not look back after he took the lead. He would run away with the victory, as you can see down the back straightaway on the final lap. Now he had over a second gap over second place of Ty Gibbs, who had actually dropped in behind Kevin Magnussen, so Magnussen was back up to P2 as it came through out of turns 4. Paul Menard would come through to win in Kansas, and this would put our Xfinity team locked into the Final 4 at Phoenix Raceway. So now we don't have to worry about the next couple races here in the Xfinity Series playoffs, as like I said, we're locked in to that Final 4 now, as you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen, as we will check out that playoff grid here just in a second. Austin Hill ended up being in that last position. Here is the playoff grid though, so there you see us locked in. Christian Eckes is 13 above, Haley Deegan 6 points above the cut line, Timmy Hill for JRM 3 points above his teammate of Justin Allgaier, who is 3 below, as we come through into the Cup Series weekend with the racer colors back on the car for us here today for the first race of this round of 8 in the Cup Series. Now as we come through to our qualifying attempt, I sometimes drop down to the bottom in qualifying at Kansas. This time I decided to just keep the car where I'm comfortable at this track, and that's up here on the top. So we got through turns 1 and 2 pretty good. We got through turns 3 and 4 pretty good. We come through to cross the line just barely off the goal with a 31.073 and qualify P14 for the Hollywood Casino 400 here at Kansas Speedway. So I mean, a decent qualifying effort now as you look through the rest of the grid. Up front, it is going to be Chase Elliott, who just got eliminated from the playoffs, along with Cole Custer, then the 2 Chip Ganassi drivers on row 2 of Gregson, as well as Ross Chastain. And as we look through the rest of the order, we got drivers like Bowman and Briscoe down in the 20s, but Joey Gase and Sheldon Creed right at the bottom of the field as we get ready to go green for the first race of the round of 8. All right, boys, you've had a great playoff so far, winning recently there at Talladega. I don't see why we can't win today. Let's go have a good one and get ourselves well comfortable above that cut line to make that Final 4. There you hear myself on the radio as we're getting ready to go green for the Hollywood Casino 400. In the stories of the race, you already see Kasey Kahne in that Red Bull starting at the back after replacing a transmission before the race. He has not had the greatest season with Red Bull and will not be returning to Red Bull next season, as we pretty much knew that from the beginning now, as Red Bull just wanted to use Kahne as a bit of a learning tool to see where they can kind of go in the future. So I will announce who will be driving that car pretty soon here as we would get ready to take the green flag for the first race of the round of 8, which is now underway here at Kansas Speedway for the Hollywood Casino 400 from the 14th starting position alongside Kevin Harvick here in his final season. Harvick has made it to the round of 8 and now has hopes of making it to the Final 4 in his last season. And so far, in the whole NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, Kevin Harvick has not made it to the Final 4 ever. So this could be the very first time, and he's in position right now to point his way in. So definitely got to keep an eye on him here as we go down this back straightaway. But usually in the round of 8 in the NASCAR Heat 5, 5 career mode, even I remember in the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode, there's always a surprise winner that kind of changes things up here. As you can see myself already on this first and opening lap going 3 wide with Joey Logano here, and we're already up into the top 10 after just 1 lap. So we gained 4 spots, and we were really fast here on the top. The 2 Penske drivers were a little bit off the pace, and it was showing because as we come through turns 1 and 2, I decided to actually make it 4 wide, I believe it was for a moment now, as actually, no, it's just 3 wide with Ross Chastain and Keselowski, and all of a sudden we're already up into the 7th position after a lap and a half. So we gained 7 spots there as Noah Gragson took the lead away early on, but then Cole Custer took it from him, and they were battling it out back and forth for that front position. As we continue on our way forwards, we pass Eric Jones in the McLaren, now looking to the outside of William Byron just about. He does stay clear as we go down into turns 1, but we're trying to get to his outside through the center of the corner as we were just flying right here. I actually ran preset 7 for this race, and that's actually a little bit looser than usual. I usually run preset 6 for this race, but I stepped it up this time. I saw we had a comfortable gap above the cut line, so I was like, you know what, we can just experiment a little bit, and it seemed to be paying off right away, because now on lap 5 out of turn 2 to the outside of the 10 of Matt Benedetto. So we go from 14th to 4th in just 4.5 laps now, and then we would run down our teammate of Chase Elliott, and all of a sudden it was like I hit a brick wall because I got stuck behind the 9, and the problem was Chase is doing exactly this. He's running the same line as myself, and I have a terrible time trying to pass anybody on the bottom. You see me try to force the issue a little bit, trying to get to his outside there. I couldn't quite pull it off. Harrison Burton was quickly moving his way up towards us, actually got to our inside through turns 1 and 2 and end up passing myself down the back straightaway. So we dropped down to P5, and I'm still stuck behind the 9 of Chase Elliott because he continues to run the top. I tried to actually jump down to the bottom. I hadn't tried passing him on the inside yet because I knew what was going to happen, but I decided on lap 8, I was like, okay, we have to do it now as we go down into turns 3, and immediately I could tell I was not going to be able to pull it off, as you can already see how much I'm struggling to keep up with that 9 on the inside, as he's just going to get back clear down the front straightaway. So we tuck back in behind him here now, as the 20 of Christopher Bell was the next driver on the way to us as we come through to turns 4. Nice run on the back of the 9. I decided to try and go to the outside down the straightaway, ended up going into the outside wall there, trying to get to the outside of the 9. A little bit frustrated I was at this point now, but there really wasn't anything I could do, and Chase, of course, wasn't doing anything wrong, but it was just frustrating overall because I know I can't really pass on the bottom, and I just honestly should have maybe just tried a slide job at this point now, as Christopher was to my inside, and sure enough, as we came through out of turns 4, I saw that hole open up, and finally we get to the outside now on the exit of turns 4 on lap 10 of Chase Elliott, as now Christopher Bell goes by on the inside. So I felt like we gave up a ton of time because of that. Now, as unfortunately, as we go into turns 1 and 2, the 9 car is going to remain in front of me here. So we come through out of turns 2, and the 9 of Chase Elliott remains in front. So it was just a waste of potential right there for myself. So we would have to try and fight back through turns 3 and 4 as Noah Gragson, he was running away with the stage victory, but I could see Harrison Burton quickly closing in on him now as we go down into turns 3. The caution would actually come out a few laps later as we run in the 5th position, and it was for Noah Gragson, the leader. You can see a bunch of smoke coming out from him up ahead, and it shows him below us in the running order. So Gragson actually is going to be out of this race. What appears to be one of the fastest cars on the day. A driver still looking for his first career win has now just DNF'd from the race here in stage 1 while leading the race. You see the playoff grid there, some round of 8 drivers struggling, like Kevin Harvick, our teammate of Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski as well now, as we would get ready to go green now on the inside line of P5. Matt Benedetto up to P6, one of those round of 8 drivers as well. As we look in the top 5 right now, there's only 2 playoff drivers. That's Harrison Burton and myself. Both of us have been battling for wins here and there throughout the season. I have 7 wins, he has 5. We were both tied at 5 going into the playoffs, but we kind of took off in the playoffs with a win at Bristol Motor Speedway, and then, I mean, honestly, very lucky win at Talladega. That should not have been our win at all. We weren't even in the mix for the win the whole race, and then right at the end when it mattered, all of a sudden we were in position leading on a late restart, and were able to hold on to that victory in a photo finish over Ross Chastain in that 42 car now as we go down into turn 3. Once again, that bottom being an issue for myself here, as I just struggle so much as we come through to turns 4. This time we do maintain though with that 9 of Chase Elliott, but as we go down towards turns 1 here, as we cross the line, 3 laps to go in stage 1, I didn't know if I maybe just back out, jump up to the top, or just try to sail it off into turns 1 and 2, but I just decided to try and keep it a fair fight against the 9 of Chase Elliott. But I push up on the exit, and that opens the door for the 33 of Cindric to go by on the inside. I see behind me Kyle Larson's closing in, Bubba Wallace as well, so I jump up to the top as soon as that opportunity opened, and I would get back to the outside of Chase Elliott with now just 2 laps to go in stage 1. Kyle Larson actually forces it 3 wide between all of us here now as we come through out of turn. So 3 Hendrick cars side by side right now, as Kyle Busch behind us was also starting to come up into the picture as we came through though to start the final lap lap of stage 1 down into turns 1 on the outside of Kyle Larson as he would get clear though through turns 1 and 2 now as Christopher Bell is going for that stage win alongside Cole Custer as we go down this back straightaway for the final time. Could have maybe sent it up the inside of Larson right here, but I didn't feel comfortable on this final lap doing that, so I just stayed to the outside through 3 and 4, and we're going to see what happens on the exit of the corner. We're going to have some momentum, but will it be enough side by side with Larson side drafting a little bit as Custer wins stage 1? Unfortunately, we do not quite have enough to pass Kyle Larson, and we have to settle for the 6th position here in stage 1, but we come into this round well above the cut line, over 40 points above the cut line coming into the round of 8 to make it into the final 4, so I was not concerned whatsoever, and as well, we were the second best playoff driver actually in stage 2 now, as we would pit for 2 cans of fuel, as well as 4 fresh tires once again now, as I did not make any adjustments on the car felt great. Alex Bowman down to P22, Keselowski in the 20s, Kevin Harvick having a rough race like I mentioned already as well, and those of course are all playoff drivers that are really not in a position where they can afford to have rough races. So we come out of the pit lane in P6, no positions shuffled around there now as we get ready to go green for the start of the 2nd stage, which is now underway here in Kansas as the car does not take off, but we will go through though into the amp segment. All that progress that we made up in stage 1 was lost on that restart there when the car did not take off, and I went and looked back at the end of stage 1 when the caution came out, and we never ran into anybody. The only car around myself was Kyle Larson, our Hendrick Motorsports teammate, and I never ran into him, so I was very confused why the car just did not take off there. Now, as there was no gear shifting issues or anything, it was really weird because, like I said, there was no contact whatsoever, but we just had to focus on the task ahead now and try to work our way back forwards, and we were doing just that now, getting to the outside of Eric Almirola in that Smithfield Camaro there for Richard Petty Motorsports down this back straightaway, so 3 wide with him, as well as Daniel Suarez. Now, as Kyle Busch was out front, by the way, of this race, looking to get into the final 4. He is a 3-time champion here in the Cup Series. He's won 1 in the career mode, and then he already had 2 coming into the NASCAR Heat 5 playthrough, so he is a 3-time champion, trying to make it 4 this season, and he had a chance to make it 4 championships last season, but came up short at Phoenix Raceways. We were continuing to move our way forwards now, looking to the outside of Blaney, making it 3 wide with him and Chase Elliott, as well as passing the 8 of Tyler Reddick, but there was only 10 laps to go at this point here in stage 2 as Austin Cindric was now leading the race, and Harrison Burton, Kyle Busch, they were battling it out for 2nd and 3rd at the moment as Tyler Reddick blows all of us away right here as we come through out of turns 2. He now moves up into the top 10, up to P7 actually, down the back straightaway into turn 3, so obviously not enough time to run down drivers up ahead like Kyle Larson or anything, so we're not going to be able to get a good rebound like we had in stage 1, but Reddick was on the move. He passed Kyle Larson after running him down, and I was also running down the number 5 of Kyle Larson as the laps were closing down here in stage 2 now, as Harrison Burton ended up being back out front here at this point as we come through to turns 4, approaching lap 14, now to the back of the 5 of Kyle Larson here, as I'm going to try to look to the outside of him, but I realized I wasn't going to be able to pull it off, so I just stay behind him as we go down into turns 1, and now we're going to try and make it work here as he runs that middle line, and we're going to get to his outside here. I honestly think that it's better when the AI run the middle. It seems like I get an even better run on the outside, so I prefer that they just run the middle the whole time, as we would clear Larson on the end of lap 15. We actually were side by side for a few laps there with 2 laps to go, though in stage 2 we were just trying to hang on to P7, but then the caution actually comes out as we go down into turns 1, so end stage 2 just a little bit early as Harrison Harrison Burton picks up the stage victory over Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell, and Cole Custer. Round out your top 5. Tyler Reddick, who goes to Chip Ganassi Racing next season in the 42 car, P6. And then, of course, we've got myself, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, who got eliminated last round at the Roval in a big turn of events where he went head-on into the barrier and had his race ended. And then we got Ryan Blaney rounding out the top 10. Car's pretty good, boys. I think we have something better than 7th place, but it's going to be hard here to get up there. I know that 19 and the 18 are really fast, so maybe a top 5, though. There you hear myself on the radio as we're getting ready to go green now for the start of the 3rd and final stage. Of course, we pitted for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. We gained 1 spot, overtaking Tyler Reddick on the pit lane, and that was perfect because that now puts us on the line that we prefer here on the outside as a green flag is out, and stage 3 is underway. This time we do not have a slow launch. Actually, it looked a little bit worse than what the 41 of Cole Custer got, so it honestly was just a little bit off, which was still odd because, like I said, no contact at the end of stage 2 either with anybody as we go down through turns 1 and 2, and Harrison Burton gets clear of Kyle Busch. Harrison looking for a 6th win on the season, and as you guys remember, we modded Harrison Burton into the 95 car back in season 2 of our Cup Series career, I believe it was, and then in season 3, or actually it was season 2, he went to the 96, and season 3 he went to the 95, and then this season, of course, he went to the 19, finally his first opportunity with a top team in that Joe Gibbs Racing pipeline, and here he is winning 5 races, looking for 6 here today on the season if he can pull it off, but right now he's under pressure from Austin Cindric as we exit turns 2. Christopher Bell looking fast. All the Joe Gibbs Racing cars looking fast today. Right now, the worst one is Denny Hamlin running in that 8th spot. Christopher Bell missed the playoffs, unfortunately, and hasn't really been in the mix a lot, but here he is having a good run today. We've seen him run pretty decent lately, too, now, as Cindric would continue to lead now on lap 45 with Cole Custer looking to the inside of Burton as we kind of ran away from Hamlin, who was 8th and beyond back now as we come through turns 1 and 2. Custer looking to the inside of Cindric. Tyler Reddick up in the mix as well now as we come through turns 3 and 4 on lap 45, though I end up clipping the outside wall, and that would destroy my momentum, and unfortunately I lose the draft from the cars ahead, and that would just pretty much end our chances of anything. Now as we came through lap 50, we had fallen almost into the hands of Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, who were right behind me here as we went down into turns 1 as Tyler Reddick was now leading with Burton still up there in the mix. But once I lost that draft, I had no chance of sticking with those guys up in front of me, and they were continuing to just drive away now as we came through. A little bit later on the end of lap 51, we were actually maintaining a gap over Larson and Hamlin all of a sudden and actually starting to pull away from them with 16 laps to go here in this race. And I realized once again, we will have to come into the pit lane here before this race comes to an end, either under green or caution, but it was looking like it was going to be a green flag pit stop as the tire light had now come on with 12 laps to go, and I wanted to stretch the tires as far as I felt comfortable with, but still maybe pit a lap or 2 before the AI. So we come through on lap 57, and there was 2 laps of fuel left in the car. I decided to pit right here as the fuel light also comes on now as we come through out of turns 4 into the pit lane. Very careful for myself. We don't need to just get an unnecessary penalty and get ourselves a points loss at this point in the season when there's really no reason to. We have really no pressure with over 40 points above that cut line coming into this round of the playoffs. So it was a very easy call to right side tires and just a little bit of fuel. It was half a can of fuel, which barely gets us to the end of this race. So now we just hope it stays green, of course, and we cycle our way around into a solid position. I actually expected the AI to take more fuel than myself here. So I was thinking, you know what, we might actually cycle out into the lead potentially here. As we start to come through, we're going to see exactly what the situation is going to be right here, as we're already blowing by the 11 and the 5 of Hamlin and Larson. But there you see the 18 of Kyle Busch, and up ahead the 19 of Harrison Burton now as Tyler Reddick is long gone as we come through out of turns 2. We're going to pass all of these guys except for the 8 of Tyler Reddick, so it's going to cycle out to myself being in 2nd place and Reddick being out front, cruising to the 2nd career win he's ever had now as we come through out of turns 4. But now on lap 61, 7 laps to go, sure enough, we're running in the 2nd position, just hoping it stays green at this point. Obviously, we have nothing for Tyler Reddick, who is just cruising to victory. Now as Harrison Burton, though, is quickly closing in on the back of me, but then my left front tire light comes on, and all of a sudden the concerns go up again. If it stays green to the end of this race, we might blow a left front tire before this one ends. ends now unless I go into ultra save mode, which I didn't really want to do now, as Harrison had run me down and he was bringing his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate of Christopher Bell with him. Sure enough, on lap 62, I had absolutely no fight for the 19 now as we came through out of turns 4. Harrison Burton goes up the inside as we go down this front straightaway. 5 laps to go when we drop down to P3, as he also has a bit of a tire advantage on us as well as we go down into turns 1. Bell also closing in on the back of myself, as actually we got smoke up there from the car up ahead. I believe that's John Hunter Nemechek, and that's going to bring out the caution and force an overtime restart on the field here in Kansas, which is honestly a bit of a saving moment for us because our left front is only at 13% with 5 laps to go. I don't think we were making it, but now there's only going to be 2 laps and we can run that left front as hard as we can now, as sure enough it is John Hunter Nemechek bringing out the caution, as all of a sudden we're in P3 for a 2-lap dash here in Kansas. It is actually not overtime. This is in regulation, so we could still have overtime if we have a crash here on this lap. Now, as the green flag is back out, Tyler Reddick, who is cruising away to the victory for the second time in his Cup Series career, is now going to have to hold off drivers like myself as well as Harrison Burton here, as I'm going to get right to the back of Reddick into turns 1. I could have forced it 3 wide there up the inside, but I knew it wasn't going to work for myself as we come through, though, out of turns 2. A good lead for Tyler Reddick as we exit the corner by Harrison Burton. Once again, just blows my doors off now as Christopher Bell as well looks to my outside, so we have no chance at victory here, but just holding on to a top 5 is the big thing, and if we can hold on to a top 5, we still finished a lot better than what we would have if we didn't try a little bit of a different strategy from the AI drivers as we come through to start the final lap here in Kansas. Burton looking to the inside of Reddick, Kyle Busch, Cole Custer trying to look to the inside of myself as we go down into turns 1 and 2 for the final time here in the Hollywood Casino 400. Busch gets clear of myself. Burton now side by side with Tyler Reddick on the exit of turns 2, but Reddick has that momentum on the outside here as we go down this back straightaway for the final time into turn 3. He's clear of the 19 for a moment, but Burton looks back up the inside of Reddick through 3 and 4 for the final time as we exit turn 4. It's going to be side by side for the win up there between them as we're side by side with Kyle Busch, and it's going to be Harrison Burton winning in a photo finish against Tyler Reddick, and that will put him locked into the final 4 here at Phoenix Raceway as Harrison Burton picks up his 6th win on the season, just barely in a photo finish over the number 8 car of Tyler Reddick as we look at the rest of the finishing order here on your screen. And we had a strong top 5 somehow out of that one, so we cannot complain whatsoever as we barely beat that 18 of Kyle Busch as well. As we're going to look at that playoff grid now. So Burton, of course, locked in. He was in position already to make it into the final 4. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and myself are the other 3 drivers currently on the inside. DeBenedetto L by 4, Briscoe 7, Bowman 11, Keselowski 20. So all of them still in a decent position going into the next 2 races. So here you see the playoff grids after these races now on the Xfinity side of things. We have a obviously locked in position for that Final 4 with our team, but Clements, Sam Mayer, Ty Gibbs are some drivers on the outside looking in, and there you see the Cup grid once again. So Bowman, we're going to have to try and help him out a little bit to potentially get him into that Final 4. Keselowski's definitely got some work to do, but as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this one and others, and before we end this episode, I would just, of course, like to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel: MJ, Joseph 9001, RJ, Timothy A, Bubba Jr., King Matt XL, Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, as well as AJ Vasura. As I always mention, you guys help me out so much, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to have you guys on the car again here in a couple races time at Phoenix Raceway. So I see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.